I'm planning on being off of Instagram for the next month or so. I haven't really, well, we'll see what happens. I am so excited for today's video. Honestly, it is a topic that I would normally just talk about with my friends. So that's kind of the approach that I'm having here is we're besties. I'm your big sister if you need that. And we are going to talk about social media because I just love a good conversation about social media usage, if I'm being completely honest. I am not going to try to convince you to stop using social media. This may not be your sign to stop using social media. And also, I don't think that social media is inherently bad. I'm going to be so honest with you. When I originally deleted my social media apps, which was primarily TikTok and Instagram, it was a little bit spontaneous. And I didn't actually put that much thought into it. It was only later looking back that I realized the impact that it had on me. And in the moment, all I really knew was that I felt better not using them. And I couldn't really probably at the time tell you why. But now, 5 years into it, I'm going to share with you a little bit of what I've learned. Looking back, there are two main questions that I have been asking myself over and over again in trying to figure out how I felt or where I stood in these two areas. So first off was, did using social media accomplish my goals? And the second question is, was using social media a net benefit to my life? So this might be a little bit weird, but when I got social media, I was 18. I wasn't allowed to have it before then. But I had actually put so much thought into why I wanted it and what I was going to do with my accounts. And my main two goals were to keep in touch with friends that I didn't see on a regular basis. And then as well as I really wanted to create a platform for my art. Social media is so great for the art community, for getting inspiration, especially Instagram was a really, really great way to get my art career off the ground. A lot of people found my art through my Instagram. I got a lot of commissions through it. I got a lot of contacts and connections through it. So it was really, really good in that sense. But as far as like the social aspect of social media, I actually found that a lot of my close friends were like me and didn't really post very often. And so most of the people that I was keeping in touch with were people that I didn't really know very well or no longer talk to, and just people that I wouldn't really go out of my way to talk to on a regular basis. And those were more the people that I was keeping in touch with through having I'm mostly talking about Instagram just for now, for this section. I don't think it's the best way to actually connect on a personal level because it's not designed for that. It's meant to connect with people on a very grand, larger scale. And so when it comes to one-on-one connection, which is what I was after and what I'm after in life, it's not so good at that. Ultimately, I feel like as time went on, I actually stopped using it for the goals that I had set out to do. I stopped posting my art very consistently, and I felt like I wasn't really connecting with my friends because, like I said, most of the people that I was seeing in my feed weren't people that I would normally reach out to. And so I started using it as a way to cope with life and stress and boredom and just exhaustion in an attempt to relax, and using Instagram as a form of entertainment and keeping my brain occupied, which led to just numbing my brain through doom scrolling. And ultimately, that was not my goal. The second question that I ask myself so much is, was social media ultimately a net benefit in my life? And that is the primary reason why I stopped using it. Like I said, I wasn't feeling good. When I think about Instagram and TikTok being an overall net benefit to my life, the main things that I think of are just the overstimulation. First off, that doom scrolling really leads you to. I just can't help but think about how much we are trying to shove into our brains. Most of it's brain rot. And because that's what we're craving in those moments of coping. And I think it really dulled my emotions because I wasn't actually able to fully experience each individual video or post or whatever I was looking at, especially on Instagram, where I'm literally there to try and keep up with my friends and see what's going on in their life. And yet I'm being fed a range of content, whether it's vacation posts or just random photo dumps, but then there's also the really sad posts of people's like obituaries and going to look for like specific niche information. I don't know. There's just so much information, and our brain is trying to just like switch from one topic to the other, and I feel like I just could not handle it after a while. Another thing I ask myself when I ask if it was a net benefit to my life is just living in the moment. I feel like social media really hinders people from doing that because we're so consumed with other people's lives, with other people's experiences, that we don't take the time to have those experiences ourselves and go out and do our own thing because we're so consumed with other people's. And I think that it really hinders us from just experiencing each memory, each moment, especially when you're so worried about capturing it to post or whatever. And that's something that I am really, really careful about with my YouTube channel, is that I never want the attempt in documenting it or capturing it, because I think that it's also so special to have this like time capsule of every fun experience in our lives in one place. That's so cool, and that is a very unique aspect of social media. But so there's that, but then I never want the like trying to capture and document my life to overshadow living my life. Your life is so precious. Your memories are so precious. And even if you feel like your life is mundane or whatever, it's supposed to be mundane. Most people's lives are very mundane. I always want to prioritize my actual life over my virtual life that I'm showing people online. So that's another thing I always think about when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I'm so happy to see a lot more people also becoming aware of that. If you're watching this video, odds are you have probably thought about deleting all your social media accounts altogether, kind of like I did. And you might have some questions. So I would like to address some of the questions you may or may not be having. First question that so many people ask me is, do I miss things, or how do I cope with the FOMO? And I will be completely honest with you, the FOMO is really bad, especially for me. It depends on your personality type, depends on you as an individual, but personally, I get really bad FOMO. I hate feeling like I'm missing out on things, but at the end of the day, if it's gonna benefit me to not use certain social media apps in order to feel better, then I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna prioritize that over feeling like I'm missing out on things, because ultimately the things that I'm missing out on are not that significant. So unfortunately, yes, I do get a lot of FOMO, and also I do miss things like, actually, I think the biggest thing I have missed was one of my close friends got engaged and was about to get married. I had no idea. I hadn't seen her in so long. We were hanging out and she started talking about her wedding, and I was like, girl, you didn't even let me know any of that. So there is that. If you don't have social media, your friends have to be willing to put in the extra effort to keep you updated on things. And my opinion is, if your friends aren't willing to put in that effort to keep in touch with you, why are you even hanging out with them? Why are they even your friends if they're not gonna, like, that's like a very, that to me is the bare minimum of a friendship. If we're not gonna keep in touch, and if you're gonna rely on social media to keep me updated, then maybe that's a sign that we don't work well as friends. And that's okay. You don't have to be friends with everybody. You don't have to keep in touch with everybody. It's okay to not know everything about everyone. It's okay to not keep in touch with people that used to be in your life like 10 years ago and you no longer talk to, and you no longer have any sort of connection with them other than just seeing their posts sometimes. It's okay to not keep in touch with those people or know what's going on in their lives. And sometimes I question if us as a society is just way too nosy and in other people's businesses. And like I said, I think that your life is the most important, and you should be focusing on that rather than worrying about what other people are doing, you know? And so, yes, although you do miss things, it is not the end of the world. And I actually think it's a healthy thing to try it. And I think it's actually super duper healthy to overcome that FOMO. Like when I first deleted Instagram and TikTok, I worried about the FOMO so much. I would always be concerned about what people were posting about me. Oh, because that's the other thing, is that people will post pictures of you and you don't even know that they're being posted. So I was really worried about that kind of stuff. I have personally made it more of a habit to ask for permission before I take a photo of someone. If I'm gonna post someone in my content, I want to make sure that I get explicit consent, even if it's like doesn't seem like a big deal to you, it might be to someone else. So that aspect was a little bit scary at first, but then I think that especially 5 years into it now, I don't really think about it that much, to be completely honest. I've moved on with my life. I hope that everyone's doing well in that world. Another question you might be wondering is if I spend less time on my phone not having social media apps, and the answer, unfortunately, is probably no. I still spend a lot of time on my phone, and that is because, as you can see, I still do have some social media apps. I do use YouTube, Facebook, and Pinterest, if you count that as social media. And I will get into why I still use those apps and I don't use Instagram and TikTok, which at the time when I deleted Instagram and TikTok, those were the only social media platforms I was actually using. I didn't really get into YouTube until I deleted those two apps. Whatever works best for you is ultimately what is most important. Personally, I find myself most addicted to the short form content on platforms. So Instagram Reels, TikTok, even YouTube Shorts, I can find very addictive. And unfortunately, when YouTube initially introduced Shorts, I remember you could I don't know how you could hide it from your feed, and I found that super duper helpful. But since then, at least on my phone, I don't have a laptop, so I don't know, it might be different over there, but on my phone, on the mobile app, you cannot get rid of Shorts these days. And so I find myself unfortunately scrolling on that a lot. I don't really use Facebook at all, which is why I'm okay with it, because I use Facebook mostly for Messenger and Marketplace. I don't post anything on there or really scroll on my feed ever. So I could delete YouTube and probably spend a lot less time on my phone. Personally, out of all the social media apps, I like YouTube the best, and I find it to be the best one in terms of filtering my consumption. I find the content that I watch on YouTube to be a lot more inspiring and encouraging, and it doesn't make me feel like awful. When I initially deleted Instagram and TikTok, yeah, I spent so much less time on my phone. But as time went on and I needed new outlets to cope with life, I gravitated towards YouTube, and it's something I'm still navigating, but I do feel a lot better about navigating YouTube than the other apps that I was using, and I think it just goes down to personal preference, whatever works best for you. I am not going to tell you to stop using social media, but I would very strongly encourage you to take consistent breaks if you aren't already. I think we talk about this a lot more than we used to, which is great, but that is actually what ultimately got me to delete it altogether, is because I would take breaks during the summer and at Christmas time in the winter. And that is how I was able to recognize the difference in my mood when I was using them consistently versus when I wasn't. And without taking those extended breaks, I probably wouldn't have come to those conclusions. And I think that coming back to the living in the moment, all that kind of stuff, the reason why I would do that around summer and Christmas time is because those are the times of year when I spend the most time with my family, and that is so important to me. And I really, if I'm with other people, if I'm spending time with friends or whatever, I really want to be present. That is something I have always really prioritized. And so I find So I found if I didn't have the option to go onto Instagram or TikTok, I wouldn't normally be on my phone when I'm in social settings. Personally, I really strive to not be on my phone in social settings, and so not having that temptation was super duper helpful. It also really helped me stay in the moment, not compare myself to other people. Comparison on social media is kind of inevitable, unfortunately, and it's something that we can try, or I can try my hardest to not compare my life to other people's. But when you're like subjecting yourself to other people's lives in that way, where you're only seeing their highlight reel, as like I said, as hard as people try to make it authentic and genuine and show everything, ultimately it is a highlight reel. Because I feel like that is always the mind game when you're scrolling, is to constantly be reminding yourself not to compare yourself. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to just constantly be reinforcing that in your brain. And personally, I would rather just not have to worry about that at all. Ultimately, why I'm making this video is because I want you to know that it is okay if you cannot handle social media, if you're like me and you just don't want to use it anymore. That is allowed. You're allowed to delete it if you want. And I really, really hope that you aren't feeling pressured to keep using it because you're scared of missing out, or you're scared of what people will think of you if you delete it. You don't need to be concerned about what other people think of you. There are plenty of people that have judged me for deleting my social media, which is such a weird thing to judge somebody for. Those people's comments are honestly confirmation that I made the right decision, though, because if someone's gonna judge you for something as stupid as that, then they're not worth having around. It's okay to not be up to date with everybody's lives. The real ones are going to keep you updated whether you have social media or not. You got to do what's right for you, and if that means deleting your social media, then delete it. If it means keeping it and using it in a way that is beneficial to you and your community, then keep doing your thing, I guess. I just hate it when people judge others for their personal choices, and I'm here to tell you that you're not alone and you're not weird, and that you have nothing to be insecure about. Honestly, I deleted social media because it was best for me at the time. I don't know if I'm gonna end up using it again in the future. It's something I think about quite frequently, especially having a YouTube channel. I wonder if having other platforms for you to be able to connect with me on would be beneficial. Okay, I totally forgot to mention that I have been using my community posts kind of like Instagram. So if you are interested in seeing stuff like that in regards to photos with captions and that kind of stuff, then feel free to check that out, because I just think it's kind of fun. I really, really appreciate you being here, taking the time to just hear me out. I hope that it felt like we are friends on a FaceTime call, or that this was a big sister chat. That is really the content that I aspire to make on my YouTube channel. Obviously, there is so much more I could say about it, and if you have any questions or thoughts, please let me know. I would love to hear them. I appreciate you so much and really, really hope that we can hang out again soon. That was a lot of talking. Wow, I need to take a nap or something now.